Hey everyone, how you doing? It's me, it's Jeff C. It is Monday, January the 27th. It is still freezing cold here in Montreal. So screw you, Al Gore. I have got an amazing piece of propaganda to share with you tonight. I just saw this and it's really quite a trip. You got to take a look at this. This is how the corporate media functions. They have a purpose. They are working, well, they are massive corporations, and one of their major purposes for this New World Order corporate elite is to disarm Americans. It is such a huge fucking deal for them. They know that they can't do anything until they get everyone disarmed. And they are coming for your guns. Make no mistake about it. Now tonight I'm going to show you here off of ABC News, Diane Sawyer and David Muir. We're going to take a look at these characters too. First thing I want to say, as I always kind of have to say, is that this is for non-profit and educational purposes, so you cannot copyright strike this. So here we go. I'm going to put this back and let you listen into this astounding piece of anti-gun propaganda, and then we're going to take a real good look at it.
And now we turn to the groundbreaking news right here at home today from Yale University about American children and guns. Every hour, a child is rushed to the emergency room because of gunshots. And ABC's anchor David Muir is here on a story we've been working on together for nearly a year. David?
That's right, Diane. The two of us teaming up and traveling across this country, and this evening on the eve of our special report, Young Guns, later this week.
Yeah, this is where I cut in for just a second. Now, you heard that clearly, right? For nearly a year, the two of them have teamed up. I want to keep that in mind. Now, what happened about a year ago? You know, a little event that happened called Sandy Hook. That just happened to involve children. Yes, it was the biggest children massacre in United States history. So-called. Of course, we know it's a hoax, and it's all set up. So listen in carefully to what they're going to tell you.
Those new numbers reported just today in the journal Pediatrics. Looking at children and guns, the most recent statistics from 2009, and take a look tonight. They are eye-opening.
The new numbers are arresting. Nearly one child or teenager every hour injured by a firearm in this country. The study tonight revealing that 7,391 children rush to the hospital every year with those gun injuries, so often accidents in the home. 453 of those children die at the hospital.
You've seen it often when it's an accident inside the home.
Yes, I have, and it's devastating.
Dr. Robert Glatter at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York has spent many years in the ER. At one point, the doctor himself saying he was seeing gunshots in children twice a week. He says this new window into the ER, into the horror seen with children and guns, he's been witnessing firsthand for some time.
These are gunshot wounds that have happened inside the home, generally?
They're a result of accidents where a gun, say, is left unlocked and teens and children gain access.
Tonight, the authors of the study calling this a national public health problem. And for nearly a year now, ABC News has traveled coast to coast into neighborhoods where the numbers tell us that 1 in 3 homes in America have a gun. 1.7 million children live in a home with an unlocked and loaded firearm. And as part of our reporting and experiment, we turn to the very parents who say they've taught their children gun safety. Those parents agreeing to take part at an elementary school in St. Petersburg, Florida. 7 hidden cameras. And for half the kids, reinforcing that message with a teacher who shows them the NRA's Eddie Eagle tape, guiding them through the program.
Now stop! Don't touch! Leave the area! Tell an adult!
Then the police come in with a gun safety class repeating the message. And just listen to the children who have it down.
Stop! Don't touch! Leave the area! Tell an adult!
Just a few days later, the police come in to place 2 real unloaded guns inside the classroom. The teacher running the experiment telling the children they're there for a memory test and that she has to go for a second, but that there's candy on the table.
Candy
Among the pairs of children, William and Griffin there, in their case, 10 minutes after this, there is this. One child looking down the barrel of the gun.
You ever seen such a small gun in your life?
His friend about to do the same.
Wait, I'm just seeing this video.
Both of them already having looked down the barrel by the time they call an adult.
Help! 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 Anyone! We found a gun! 2 guns! I mean 3. 2 guns.
From a control room, the professor and the police watching.
Whatever reason, it's a natural thing to look down the barrel.
And the parents who agreed to it all were watching it too.
And that was just the beginning of the experiment. Friday night, you'll hear from those parents. The children watch the video with them. And Diane, you begin the conversation Friday night about whether or not parents out there ever really ask the neighbors or their friends' parents if there's a gun in the home, whether it's locked, loaded, or put away.
We want to hear from everyone tonight, joining forces together on all sides of this issue. Thank you, David. And also...
Oh my. That is just astounding. I think the scariest part was right at the end there. David Muir, who we're going to look into here in a second. This dude saying, we were talking about it just the other night, I presume, on ABC News, that parents never ask neighbors if they have guns or if they're locked up. Since they're watching every single thing you do, don't think for 1 second they aren't trying to figure out every single person and place that has a weapon. It is extremely fucking important. Then this thing, of course, the whole story is called Young Guns, right? Young Guns. There was a film in the 80s called Young Guns. This is how they use their predictive programming, of course. They're trying to put it in the mind of the sheeple and put the fear in the children as well. There are several striking things. First of all, Diane Sawyer. I'm not sure how well you people know Diane Sawyer, but she is an extremely powerful person in the media. Now, if you look at her on Muckety here, she's even got a link to good old Richard Nixon, right? So she's been around for quite some time, 60 Minutes, of course. But I think the one that should alarm people the most is this one right here, the Council on Foreign Relations, one of the major think tanks of the New World Order. Really, so many ideas, so many plans evil plans come from this think tank, nasty, international, heavily Jewish, Zionist perhaps even, think tank organization that several world leaders have been part of, including Obama, George W. Bush, including Donald Rumsfeld, Diane Sawyer now, of course, Stephen Harper, White House State Dinner, all these things. She's a big player. So she's very heavily involved. If you're a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, you are automatically one of the most dangerous people in the world. This guy David Muir is a big star for the media. I've never even heard of him before, right? And I've seen him before. Got a thing on him, which I found very interesting. Among Muir's U.S. assignments, Muir anchored several hours of the tragedy in Newton as it unfolded. He just happened to be there. And then reported from the scene as President Obama visited the town. In fact, he was probably seen hugging. They were in a threesome, him and Robbie Parker. Get this, though. If that isn't a kicker, Muir also reported from the movie theater mass shooting in Aurora, Colorado, another famous false flag. He was also in Joplin, Missouri in the aftermath of the HAARP massive tornado in which they brought in Greentown, Joplin. And from this one, just to top it all off, He was in Tucson, Arizona after the shooting of Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, that left 6 others dead. Another major false flags that have been carried out over the last year. So this guy's been at all the false flags, or several of them at the very least. So he's on board, and he's a major player in this. But they, of course, they like to use these slogans to put fear. And in every image, you have the guns present over and over and over again on tables, next to, like under pillows. You see here the shotgun that they pulled out from under the pillowcase. Yeah, that's where normal people keep their shotgun, I'm sure, right under the pillowcase, And then they had this guy here, a sock puppet doctor, giving the fear, and then bringing on more of the stats as they use their graphics and their fear. And then Diane Sawyer, arm in arm with the kid from poor part of town. And then they're driving around, of course. They've been on the road for over a year, going from town to town. A lot of propaganda to push around, and they're showing how these guns are everywhere. They're everywhere. They're in people's drawers. And then, of course, this is the part that really stood out for me, because they actually show where the school is in the window here. You can see it.
The school in St.
There we go. St. Andrew Lutheran Church. This is important because the Lutheran Church is one of the faiths united to prevent gun violence. Yes, indeed. These are the religious sections of the New World Order that are congregating together with the Mormons and stuff to take away your guns. And the Faiths United to Prevent Gun Violence was formed January 17th after the Tucson shooting, the fake shooting that injured Gabrielle Giffords, right? The fake shooting, which they said she got a bullet through the brain, and then she did her gimpy sort of speech, and people were crying. The coalition's 24 founding members wrote a letter to Congress endorsing a bill to ban large-capacity ammunition magazines. The bill, H.R. 308, did not pass. And then in 2012, the Faiths United worked with the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, the coalition to stop gun violence, and other gun control groups to prevent the passage of the National Right to Carry Reciprocity Act. And in January 2013, they wrote to Congress. January 2013, Faiths United and other faith leaders wrote another letter to Congress after Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Newton, Connecticut. In March 2013, it collaborated with the National Cathedral and Mayors Against Illegal Guns, which is the baby of Michael Bloomberg, the New World Era mayor of New York City, to urge gun laws requiring background checks for all gun sales, banning assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, and making gun trafficking a federal crime. And yes, indeed, the Lutherans are part of this group. There's no doubt. There they are. Evangelical Lutheran Church of America. Anti-gun churches and synagogues. And this is regarding gun rights, right? If you attend churches or synagogues affiliated with any of these organizations, be aware that even though your local congregation may be solidly pro-Second Amendment, the national organization is not. And a part of your offerings are used to support anti-gun organizations. Know that if you put your money in the offering plate and your church or synagogue is associated with any of these national organizations, you're funding the war against the Constitution and your gun rights. So here at the United States Catholic Conference, we believe that in the long run, and with few exceptions, i.e. police officers, military use, handguns should be eliminated from our society. United Methodist Church, we call upon the United Methodist Church support federal legislation to regulate the importation, manufacturing, sale, and possession of guns and ammunition by general public. Such legislation should include provisions for the registration and licensing of gun purchase and owners, call upon governments of the world in which there is United Methodist presence to establish national bans on ownership by the general public of handguns.